Nadine's mother guffawed when she called to tell her of her plans. "You're going where?" she exclaimed. "To do what, exactly?" "Greenland," Nadine replied. "Self-discovery." "Good heavens, who even knows where that is?" "I do, for one," Nadine said. So what if she'd gotten it confused with Iceland at first? People were always confusing those two, weren't they? It was one of history's great jokes. The Norsemen in their little wooden ships looking around them, crestfallen. Her mother made a fizzy noise, expelled air and consternation. "Now, I know you're hurting from this breakup, dear, but you'll get through it. Pull yourself through it. I mean, just think if I'd run off to the North Pole when your father left me." She imagined her mother, ruddy-cheeked and grim, stamping the snow off her feet at the entrance to an igloo. "Just think," she said. Her mother was quiet for a moment. "I never liked him, you know, always bringing up movies no one else even heard of." It was after Evan broke up with her that Nadine found out he had cheated. Twice. More than twice. Two different women could mean any number of times. "I thought you should know," his bandmate had said when he called to deliver the news. He'd never liked Evan's guitar, and Nadine thought he was probably trying to get him to sleep with him. She hung up the phone and then called right back. "Should I?" she asked. "Should I know that, really?" She didn't look up any photos of Greenland. Instead, she spent the last few days before her departure reorganizing her desk at the admissions office of the small Lutheran college outside St. Paul where she worked. "Your computer should be northwest," her coworker Jessica told her, "and you should hang a picture of a mountain on the wall behind you, for strength." Jessica had read a book about office feng shui. Nadine said, "I'll take a photo while I'm gone. A mountain photo. Do they have mountains in Greenland?" "I doubt they have anything but mountains in Greenland." Nadine pictured thatched cabins and lichen-covered rocks. Rainbows. Double rainbows. Clouds that looked like they had things hidden inside them. Castles and school buses and great blue whales. It was while she was rearranging the study abroad display by the entrance to the office that she realized that she had, in fact, been picturing Ireland. A week later, she was in Umanak, on the western coast of Greenland. It was mid-June. On the helicopter ride in, she learned from a blonde Danish couple that the sun would not set for another month and a half. The Danish couple had done their research. They had plans to see the abandoned village at Galaktitzuk, where 500-year-old mummies had been discovered. They had gear for trekking. When it got colder, they were going to go up north, they said, to go dog sledding. Nadine listened to their plans and nodded in a knowing way, as if she had planned more or less the same thing. "Te gustan las montañas?" she asked the two Spanish girls sharing the room at the hostel. Nadine thought they were probably sisters. They both had heavy eyebrows and thin noses, but on one of them it was beautiful and on the other it was not. "Claro que sí," the prettier one said. When she wasn't in her room, Nadine went out for long walks up the mountain. The village was like something out of a Hans Christian Andersen tale. Bright little colored and grand houses, only with a strong smell of dog. There were packs of them everywhere. The adults tied up behind the houses, the puppies running around free, wolf-like, beautiful animals that looked capable of vengeance. A 10 minutes walk drowned out their whining chorus. She could admire the landscape. In the bay down below were bits of floating ice, fishing boats on their way out to the open water, kayaks moving over the waves and little bees. Every now and then, she ran into other hikers wearing complicated-looking khakis and carrying sleeping cameras. They smiled and nodded and greeted her in English with various European accents. Once, an older Scandinavian-looking couple warned her to be careful. "You might fall," said the woman, gesturing to the sharp drop-off. "You're walking alone?" "That's okay, my boyfriend's arms weren't that long anyway." The couple gave her odd looks before moving off down the path. Love, however, was in the landscape of Umanak. The mountain was said to resemble a heart. Oh, good Lord, Nadine thought when she first saw the creased pamphlet lying on the coffee table in the hostel's front room. A symbolic landscape. The words "Town of the Beautiful Heart Mountain" hovered in lilac over an aerial scene. The rest of the pamphlet was in Danish. "You chose a town with a goddamn heart in the sky," she imagined her mother saying when she showed her the picture. "What the hell kind of choice was that, Nadine?" She didn't think the mountain looked much like a heart, but she'd been struck by the sight of it on the flight in. From the air, it looked remarkably, conspicuously, she thought, like a vagina. Gazing at it out of the helicopter window, she wondered if the Danish couple was making crude jokes in their charming, elfin-like language. Now, at the hostel, Nadine wanted to ask the Spanish girls if they thought it resembled a heart. They didn't speak English. "Esta montaña," she said, "es como mi corazón." One of the sisters gave the vacant but friendly nod. The other one shrugged her disdain and went back to reading her book. Nadine liked her better than her pretty sister. She wore her resentment like a fur coat, something of which she was proud and that covered her completely. On the fourth day, she met a Danish woman in the lobby. "You have the most beautiful name," she said. "It is like the athlete, the one who was everyone's favorite. Nadine had just gotten back from a long walk. She felt a little dizzy. What to make of this woman? Morse goddess in T-book sandals and a fleece vest, leaning up against the check-in desk as she walked in the door, turning brightly towards her and talking about academics. Nadine nodded. I get that a lot. The woman's name was Madya. She had shiny hair and even teeth and terribly symmetrical facial features. She asked Nadine how long she'd been in Lebanon. Had she been to any of the local sites? Was the hostel all right? As for herself, she and her boyfriend had just gotten in. He was visiting the WC. But the helicopter ride was exciting, no? And the town, so lovely. Like something out of a fairy story. But was it really true that you could go whale watching at midnight? Nadine did her best to answer Madya's questions. Yes, the helicopter ride was exciting. No, she hadn't been out to the bird island. It had been days since she had talked with anyone other than short exchanges with other tourists and with the owner of the hostel. Now it felt surreal, saying so many things all at once. Nadine reached a hand up to her forehead and rubbed at the layer of chalky dried sweat left over from the climb. You are very independent, Madya declared when Nadine told her she was traveling alone. The Danish woman tilted her head to one side. To come to Greenland without anybody. It is brave, no? I don't know that I'd call myself brave exactly, she said. I think it's just anger. You're angry? I just went through a breakup, she said. Madya gave a sober nod as if she had already guessed as much. Then with a vigorous shake of the head that whipped her ponytail from side to side, she declared, the men are such assholes. Nadine turned to see a man coming down the hall towards them. He carried a bottle of water in one hand and a camera in the other. He had on the same Velcro strap hiking sandals as Madya wore, black and thick-soled with the appearance of extensive ergonomic engineering and craftsmanship. Madya turned to him and said in English, this is the American, Nadine. I was just meeting her. He cocked his head to one side and gave Nadine a guarded smile, lacking in the eyes. He was an inch or so shorter than his girlfriend. I am Dodge, he said, setting down the bottle of water. He held out his hand. Very pleased to meet you. You too, Nadine said. Madya grinned and pressed her hands together below her chin. We are all so pleased to meet. Talking with the Danish couple was like coming to the surface after a long dive underwater. The hollow sound in Nadine's ears abruptly disappeared. Oh good, Madya said when she accepted their invitation to join them for an outing. Daj and I are so tired of each other. We are traveling so long, and there's nothing more to say. The two of them were on a world tour together. They had left Denmark just 3 months before. We think 1 or 2 years, Daj said, and Nadine wondered at the way he dispensed casually of the year, like it was all the same to the two of them. A single afternoon trickled away on window shopping. 2 years, good Lord. In 2 years she'd be 30. Who cares about 30, her mother said when Nadine called to rant about collateral damage from the breakup, marriage and babies, TikTok anniversaries, etc. Not that she even knew she wanted those things, but there it was. Evan dumped her, and all of a sudden she had an expiration date. At 30, I was married and had 2 kids, her mother cut in. You know what it got me? Divorced at 35. A few hours after their meeting, Nadine and her new friends walked out to Santa Claus House, a turf hut an hour's stroll north of the town. Inside, they read through the wish list, a large book with hundreds of scrawled messages from tourists. Most of the entries were in Danish, but Madya and Daj translated them for Nadine. From Emma Sondergaard, Dear Santa, I want a new mother-in-law. This person is an environmentalist, I think. Dear Santa, please save the polar bears of this beautiful country. Here's an interesting one, Daj said. From Christian Lund, Dear Santa, I want sex at least 3 times a week. Madya pinched him on the arm, but he went on. What a surprise he signed his name to that one. And how do you say this? Nadine glanced at the page where he was pointing. Parentheses. And in parentheses, it says, and something extra on Sunday. Go figure, she said, a Christian with faith. Madya smiled. Nadine thought she probably hadn't gotten the joke. The Danish woman moved off to examine some figurines carved from bone that sat on a shelf by the window. You do not seem like an American, Daj said. He tilted his head and looked Nadine in the eye. I feel like you mean that as a compliment, she said. He shrugged. Americans are too eager.